Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to learn how to draw the pattern for a basic trouser. As you can see, I've already marked 1 inch out from both sides of the paper. Let's go ahead and mark all our horizontal measurements. From my waist to my hip is 9, to my crotch depth is 12, then to my knee is 23 inches. We're also going to take all these measurements across the paper. Then the full length of the trouser is going to be 44 inches. Let's go ahead and mark all these measurements again across the paper. So we'll mark our hip line and also mark the crotch depth, then go down and mark the knee line as well as the full length of the trouser. With our ruler, let's connect all these points with a straight line. Before we connect the point on the crotch depth, let's go ahead and mark 0.25 inches. That's 1/4 of an inch. This is just to give a bit of space around the crotch area. So I also went ahead to connect the point on the ankle line. So next thing, let's divide our hip measurement by 4 and mark the point on our hip line and on our waistline. With our ruler, we'll join the 2 points together. Okay, so this line here for the crotch extension, I'm just going to extend it. So on that line, we are going to mark our crotch extension. So on the waistline, let's mark 1/4 of our waist measurement. Mine is 30 and 1/4 of it is 7.5. Then we'll also add 1 inch for that. Then the point we marked at the waistline, we're going to connect it down to our hip line with a curve. Remember the 12.25 inches I marked as the crotch depth, so I'll divide it by 3 and mark the point, so I got 4. Now this point I marked at that line is going to help to draw in the curve at the crotch line. For our crotch extension, we'll divide 1/4 of our hip measurement by 4 and mark the point on the crotch line. So mine is 10.5 divided by 4, I had 2.6. So between these two lines that are perpendicular to each other, we're going to draw a line that is 90 degrees. So my ruler can't measure 90 degrees. And what I'll do is to mark the 2.6 I had as my crotch extension on the adjacent line. Then I'll find the midpoint between them both and then mark the point. So I'll go ahead and connect this new point to that point where the both lines meet with a dotted line. On that dotted line, mark 1.5 inches. Now we are going to draw in a curve connecting all these points. So let's move to our waistline and draw in the dart. Go ahead and place your tape on the waist and find the midpoint. Then go down and mark the point again as well. So mine is 4.25 inches. Okay, so with our ruler, let's connect this point together with a dotted line. It's on this line that we are going to mark the dart. So from the waist, measure down 6 inches as the length of the dart. Remember the extra 1 inch we added as the width of the dart. Where the dotted line touched the waist, go ahead and mark 0.5 inches on both sides of the line. Then with your ruler, connect it to that 6 inches downwards. After that, let's go down to our crotch line. Place your tape on the crotch line and take the measurement. Whatever you got, divide it by 2. Then mark the point on that line. This value we just marked on the crotch line, we're also going to mark it on our knee line down to the ankle line. Then with our ruler, let's connect the point together. After this, let's go down to the ankle line and do the same for the ankle. So because this trouser is just a basic trouser pattern, I'm not going to mark the knee measurement on the knee line. On the ankle line, the measurement I'm using is 9 inches, so we're going to mark half of it, which is 4.5 on both sides. Let's connect this point we marked on the ankle through the knee to the crotch line. We'll also do the same thing for the other side. So remember, when you want to make use of this trouser pattern to make the kind of trouser you want, whatever way it looks like, you can now modify the knee as well as the ankle too. Let's finally connect this point to the crotch line. As you can see, my ruler is not long enough, so I'm trying to make it work. Alright, so after that, on our knee line, let's mark 0.5 inch on the knee. Do the same thing for the other side of the knee as well. Now this new point we made on the knee line, we're going to connect it upwards to the crotch line and also downwards to the ankle line. Down on the ankle line, let's mark 1.5 inches on both sides. This is just for hemming the trouser. You can use 1 inch, you can use 2 inches depending on your preference. Then let's connect the point together. Then on the side, you have to curve it out a bit, just a bit curved, because the trouser is not really straight. So we are done, let's cut it out. So this is what it looks like. We're going to use this front pattern to draft the back pattern. Place the front pattern on another pattern paper. Okay, one more thing, something I nearly forgot. On the waist of the front pattern, we're going to measure out 0.5 inch downwards. Then with our ruler, let's connect the point, and then we'll go ahead and cut it out. Now the first thing we're going to do, we are going to draw out all our horizontal line using the front pattern as guideline. Then I also went ahead and did the same thing for the ankle line. Then draw in the waist. So on the waistline, let's measure 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to use the ruler to connect this point upwards. Then we're going to mark another 1.5 inches on this new line. So after marking this point, we're going to take the waist measurement on the front pattern. Mine is 8.5 inches. Now on this new point I just marked, I'm going to measure 8.5 inches till it touch the waistline. So now after connecting these 2 points with a straight line, let's move down to our crotch line. 1/4 of the hip measurement divided by 2, whatever you get, you mark it on the crotch line. This will be the crotch extension for the back. From that point where we measured out the crotch extension for the front, so from that point we're also going to measure for the back too. On that point on the front pattern where we drew in that line, that dotted line at 90 degrees, let's extend that dotted line again towards the back piece. Then after doing that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure 2 inches on that dotted line. Now this point we just made now just to help us to draw in the curve for the back. Remember when we divided our crotch depth, mine which is 12.25 by 3 and I got 4. So mark that point again. The next thing is to connect all these points together to create the curve for the back pattern. With a straight line, connect the point on the waist and the point above the hip line. And then with a curved line, connect the remaining points together. Before we draw in the rest of the curve, from that crotch line, come down by 0.5 inch. Then connect the point. Let's go ahead and smoothen the line. Now on the hip line, measure out 0.5 inch. Do the same thing on the crotch line as well. We are going to measure 0.5 inch down to the ankle. Now connect these points on the hip line to the waistline. Now go ahead and mark 0.5 inch outwards all the way down to the ankle. But for now, let's stop at this point. So let's go up to the waist and draw in the dart for the back pattern. Now measure the waist and divide it by 2. Also mark the same measurement down. Then with a ruler, connect the point. So with our ruler, let's connect these 2 points together with a dotted line. So remember that 6 inches we marked on the waist dart for the front pattern. So let's do the same thing for the back. And also mark 0.5 inch on both sides of the line. Then with our ruler, let's connect the points downwards. Okay, let's go ahead and mark the points where the waistband will sit. So from the waist, measure down 1.75 inches. I don't want to use 2 inches because I feel like it's too much. So 1.75 inches. Now with our ruler, let's connect the point together. We're also going to do the same thing for the front pattern too. Again 1.75 inches on both sides of the waist and connect with your ruler. Okay, now so let's move to the knee line. On that knee line, mark 0.75 inches. Now we're going to connect that point, that 0.5 inches we marked on the knee, to the crotch line. And for the rest of the trouser leg down to the ankle, also mark 0.5 inch out, just like we did for the other side. Mark it down to the ankle for both sides, and with our ruler we're going to connect the points together. now that we are done marking the 1/2 inch on both sides of the trouser, let's use our ruler and connect all these points together. So we are almost done with the back pattern. Okay, so now it's time to cut out the back pattern. So this is what the back pattern looks like. So one thing we're going to do, let's connect all these horizontal lines. Let's join the lines, and the one at the ankle, the one at the knee line, the crotch depth, and the hip line. Alright, so one more important thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure the inseam for the front is the same measurement as the inseam for the back. So let's measure the inseam for the front. Then we'll also go ahead and measure the one for the back pattern and make sure they are both the same length. And the reason for doing this is just to make sure that after sewing your trouser, the lengths are even. Okay, so after taking the measurement for the inseam of the front pattern, what I got was 33.4. So I'll go ahead and take the inseam measurement for the back pattern as well. So let's check if they are the same thing. Okay, now I'm done taking the measurement, and as you can see, it's the same thing. So the length is the same as the front pattern. Alright, so this is the end for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching. So don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe, and see you in my next video.